Feedback? Yeah, I know what it is. I mean, I've got a 2.5-year-old at home, and when I see her doing something that could get her hurt, you better believe I'm gonna step in. But around here, you gotta be a little more careful about what you say. You never really know how somebody's going to take it. He knows we're supposed to shut the press down before we clean the fountain. What if his glove got caught and his hand got pulled into those rollers?
Somebody's gonna get nailed by one of those guys. It's like they're not even looking for you. But hey, there's a lot of pressure to keep things moving around here, and I haven't seen anybody hurt. Not lately, anyway.
Somebody's going to trip over this stuff. They've even got the fire exit blocked. Why doesn't somebody tell them to clean this mess up before someone gets hurt?
Nobody wants to see somebody else get hurt, but it happens all the time. We see somebody doing something that isn't safe, something that could get them hurt or hurt somebody else. What do? Nothing. Oh, it's not that we don't care. No, of course we care. And deep down, we know we want to speak up and warn the other person that what they're doing just isn't safe. But there's this little voice inside of us. It's making excuses, saying, well, he must know what he's doing, or someone else will tell her, or it's not my place to say something. But you know what? It is your place. Doesn't matter if your company uses a safety observation process or not. Doesn't matter who the other person is, and whether you even know them. Each of us has both the right and the responsibility to give constructive feedback to anyone who's working in a way that isn't safe. So what's getting in our way? Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think it's because we're human beings. And human beings have this natural fear of the unknown, and not just at work.
So we'll grab a bite and then head back and good to go.
Suppose you and a coworker are on your way out to lunch. As you pull out into traffic, the two of you are having a fun, casual conversation. But you notice she hasn't made any attempt to fasten her seatbelt. You want to tell her to buckle up. But if you do, how will she take it? Will she resent you for bringing it up? Is it worth taking the risk?
Well, half of the deals are done not at work, but
Let's face it, when we step up to give someone feedback about the way they're acting, it can feel like we're taking a risk. I mean, we could set the other person off, right? They might not want to hear our feedback. They might resent it. They might even get angry at us. Well, okay, here's the good news. See, we're not responsible for how the other person handles our feedback. They are. Fact is, we're only responsible for ourselves. And if we're being true to ourselves, then we're willing to step up and honestly express how we feel about safety and what the other person is doing.
Feedback's not about criticism. It's about respect. It's about openly and honestly sharing your feelings with another person in a way that lets them know that you care about them.
Kurt, there's something bothering me. Do you mind if we talk about it?
sure, go ahead.
Well, I just get really nervous when I see you put your hand in there with those rollers running. I don't want to see you get hurt.
Don't plan on getting hurt.
I know you know what you're doing. I mean, you're the best operator we've got, but I mean, we're supposed to shut down the press before we clean the fountain.
That's so?
You know it is, Kurt.
Remember, we're responsible for giving feedback, but how the other person reacts to it is up to them.
And just as we shouldn't try to predict how they're going to react, we shouldn't jump to conclusions about why they're working unsafely. Because we don't know why. At least not until we ask them.
Got a second?
What do you need?
I was wondering, when you come through there, is it hard to see people on foot?
Why, what's the problem, you know? Because I can see fine.
Well, I almost got nailed right there. Is that like a blind spot or something?
You know, they got that mirror up there. Somebody must have hit it or dinged it or something because it changed the direction, you know? I can't use it.
Why don't we just fix it? How about that?
Sure. All right.
Once you've found out why somebody's doing something in an unsafe way, work together. Try to come up with a better way, a safer way of doing it.
And the next step is to try and get them to commit to doing it that way.
I know it's a fire exit, but there's just not any more storage space. I'll move the stuff when I get some room, okay?
What about the annex? I mean, we could go get a pallet jack and move all of this stuff out of here before lunch.
I'm kind of busy right now.
Okay, I was just thinking, you know, what if there's a fire or some other emergency?
Yeah, I hear you. How about, after lunch?
1 o'clock good?
Sure, 1 o'clock.
Great. I'll be here.
So work together. Try to come to an agreement. And if someone won't make a commitment to working safely, just let them know in a polite way that you're not ready to give up on it. Say, okay, but I'm going to talk to you about this again later. And do it. And if you see someone working safely, give them positive feedback. Positive feedback is an incredibly powerful thing. And believe me, it works. Lot to remember? Not really. You know what I do? Whenever I have to give someone feedback, I try to follow 3 simple steps. Ask, get a commitment, and follow it up.
Ask. If you see someone working in a way that's not safe, ask them if you can talk about it. Ask them to explain why they were doing it that particular way, but don't jump to conclusions. Get a commitment. Work together to come up with a safer way of doing it, and ask them if they'll commit to start doing it that way. Follow up. Check to see if the other person is working safely. If they're not, remind them of earlier conversations and let them know you're not going to give up. And if they are working safely, give them positive feedback, because it works.
Look, don't get me wrong. Giving feedback isn't about running around all over the place, checking up on everybody and getting in people's faces. It's about being responsible. It's about being respectful of the other person, of yourself, of what you believe. And it's about having the guts to speak up when you see someone doing something that you know just isn't safe. Okay. I know I go a little overboard when I talk about this stuff, but I want to tell you a true story. And it happened right here, on this saddle stitcher.
Sometimes papers will get turned sideways on the conveyor. And when they hit the guides down at the trimmer, you can have a mess. A jam. Well, there are these arms there that are pulling papers under the front knife. And that knife is coming down with enough force in it to cut clean through a steel bar. I've seen it happen. What you're supposed to do before you reach in there to clear out a jam is shut the machine completely down. Well, there was this guy I was working with. An older guy. He thought he knew how to time it just right so he could reach in there and clear out the jam while the machine was still running. But that day, he didn't time it just right.
After we put him in the ambulance, we had to go in there and dig out his fingers and parts of his fingers and put them in ice. You know what the hardest thing is? I could have said something. I mean, I knew it wasn't safe to reach in there with that knife coming down. And I've tried making excuses. I mean, I was new, he was an experienced guy, that sort of thing. Maybe he would have gotten mad and tried to bite my head off for telling him how to do his job. Maybe. But maybe he'd still have his fingers. You know what? Excuses just don't work. Because I had a choice. So do you.
Oh.
You,
Oh,
put your seatbelt on?
sure. I'm sorry, I forgot. I got to talking and completely forgot.
It's all right. I feel better when people are
Thanks.
buckled up.
Back straight, knees bent. You got it.
I'm trying.
Oh, I guess someone learned.
Is that good?